All right, so today we're here with Craig Edmondson out of Logos Jiu-Jitsu, Denver, Colorado, right?
Yes, sir.
So Craig is an MMA fighter. He's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's very active in the Jiu-Jitsu scene. So Craig, why don't you give me kind of like the intro of how you got into martial arts? I start all the conversations this way, but it kind of gives me an idea of who I'm talking to and why they got into martial arts.
Sure. Well, I'm from Indiana originally. I grew up in a small town outside of the city called Mooresville.
Okay.
And out in the Midwest, wrestling is pretty big out there. It's the Big Ten country,
Yeah.
Yeah, wrestling's pretty serious out there. And I wrestled off and on all through school. And then as soon as I got out of high school, I was 18. My mom and my stepdad actually had done a free trial week or a month membership or something at a jiu-jitsu school like prior to me going there. That's how I knew about this gym in particular. But I remember that they went and they did like a trial month of jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And I went to like one of their practices when I was with them.
You're like 18, right?
At the time, I was like 17 or 16. They went
Oh,
like
okay.
prior to me going.
Right, but you had wrestled before, so you had that grappling
Yeah, I
experience.
wrestled like all through school. Yep. So
Nice.
anyway, I hit this dude up that I had knew about through my parents, and I started training jiu-jitsu there right away. I loved it. He did jiu-jitsu and he did jeet kune do. He was a retired police officer, and he was had a small little super small hole in the wall gym like with rollout mats. He actually like rented the room from a dance studio. So it's like
Nice.
a bunch of like little kids dancing in there all the time, and we just like rolled up like 2 or 3 times a week and rolled out these mats and got down. So I trained with him until I got my blue belt, and then I ended up training with James Klingerman
Okay.
in Indianapolis. He just had a bigger school, more competitive team and atmosphere there, and I just felt like that was the move I needed to make. I was kind of like outgrowing the room that I was in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was kind of more just like hobbyist, not really competitors. And I just was trying to be as competitive as possible. I was
Do you
still,
think that you had that competitive vibe when you went? It just transferred over from wrestling. You were just like,
for sure, right
this
away,
is what I want
man.
to do. So you knew
Yeah.
you wanted to compete since the beginning.
Yeah, I loved it. I was competing like right away, basically. Every local tournament that I knew about, I was competing like as quick as possible.
As a white belt, you were competing.
Oh yeah, maybe like a month or two in,
So
I
you
was
were
already,
just
yeah,
blast
right
doubling
away.
people.
Yeah, right away. Yeah, it's like this is fucking awesome. It's like, it's like I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I trained with James, and he was like the best person I've ever met in my life, dude. James Klingerman. Like I
Yeah.
got all the respect in the world for him. That dude taught me like everything I know. I love him to death. If you're in the Indianapolis area, go check out James Klingerman.
Nice.
Uh, I also trained a lot with Alan Stockman at his gym over there. Just
Okay.
cross training was very normal. Everyone's got open mats on the weekends. I would train at Stockman's a lot of times on like Saturday morning. Train with James all through the week. We're all
Yeah.
small community out there. You know how it is. Everybody.
Yeah. I mean, you're in a small town. I wonder. I kind of. Since I'm out of Miami, right? So, and before that, I was in a city, so I kind of have the city life. I kind of wonder how that jiu-jitsu environment was. You said you came from a small town, right?
Yeah, Indianapolis.
So
Yeah,
how was that like? Was there a
sounds up
lot of
a
people
bit.
in the room, or what was it like?
When I started training jiu-jitsu, it was like 2012,
Okay.
um, the later part of 2012, and so. Not
Yeah.
like a ton of upper belts at that time. There wasn't like a ton of like brown and black belts on the mats on the regular basis. Maybe like one or two, if
Yeah.
that. But a lot of white belts and blue belts for sure.
Right. Which makes sense, right?
It's like I think when I started training jiu-jitsu, there's between like 10 and 15 black belts in Indiana, and now there's like 30, 40. There's like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's growing. Now sport has grown so much, man, that you're starting to see. Like I remember training out of here in Miami back in 2009, and I would see the purple belts. Maybe it was just the gym that I was at, but there wasn't like there was a number of black belts, but it wasn't as much as you see today. There's so
True.
many black belts.
There's a
You
lot
know,
now. Yeah.
you could throw a rock in Miami,
Yeah.
you'll hit a black belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but there's also different types of black belts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
There's like the competitor like you, and there's the hobbyist black belts, and you kind of get the understanding of the difference between the two once you start getting higher in the ranks and you roll with these different black
Right.
belts.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. So you were out of Indiana, right? And did you stayed in Indiana for how long? What was your decision to start?
I'm from Indiana, and I lived there all my life. In 2019, I moved out to Denver.
Nice.
I was living with a jiu-jitsu homie at his place, and he was working out here in Colorado a lot, working on like cars and stuff, and like chasing the hailstorms. So
Really?
he was out here a lot working. And then eventually he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna move out to Colorado, so you can come if you want to, or you can stay." And I was like packing my bags, boom, 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 let's go. I was like, Denver, oh, crazy. So let's go to Denver, move out to Denver, and yeah, now I train at Logos Jiu-Jitsu. It's like downtown Denver.
Yeah.
They're Michael Lear Jr. and that dude is a man for sure. Like I'm
So you
regular.
decided to go to Denver, right? When you decided to go to Denver, was it because of jiu-jitsu, martial arts, and that was your interest? Like, I'm going to go there because I want to train better. I want better training rules
Bro,
and
it's
stuff.
like, yeah, all that. I knew that it was like the scene out here a lot more than Indiana for sure. But
Okay.
just, I had the opportunity to leave. I wasn't gonna not take it, like, bro, coming from a small area, small town, I exhausted every avenue there was there, and
Yeah.
I just was excited to take the opportunity to go see something new.
Yeah, man, I would agree with you too, especially if you want to kind of explore the world. You go into Denver, and Denver's a great place to not only to train but to live. I've been to Denver a couple of times, and I loved it.
Yeah, I love it out here for sure too. A whole lot more than Indianapolis, that's for sure. Other than like just missing some of the friends,
Right.
I don't really
Yeah.
like miss too much of what's happening back home.
Right. It's only a couple people that you have over there that you really miss, and then you get
Yeah.
to do what you're doing over here in Denver. Was the Man, I remember when I went to Denver, and I remember either Miami, it's under the sea level, and Denver's so high up in sea level, bro. And I went
Yeah.
to visit Denver, and I remember going up some steps, and I was out of breath. So
Bro,
how was
I'll say
that?
the same thing. Like when I got to Colorado, I was unpacking my car, bro, just taking stuff inside, running back and forth to the car, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, man.
I was like, dude, this is real. Some people say it takes you like 2 weeks. I think that's not accurate.
You think it takes more?
It took me like 3 months, bro. It took a minute for me to really adjust to be able to really push myself super hard here.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I was there for like a week, man, and I didn't get used to it at all.
Yeah, no, it's
There's no
it's
way.
difficult for sure.
So did you train the first week that you got there?
Yeah, right away. Yeah.
Right. And how was that?
Horrible. Just talk about being dead. It's
Yeah.
definitely a different type of air. It's just you have to experience it to understand.
Yeah.
You come here and you're from sea level. It's
It's
you need to
devastating,
compete.
dude.
You need to compete like that day because if you don't,
Dude, that's rough when you go up there, especially getting into a training room. I can imagine how frustrating it would be to get into a training room when you're used to like your certain level of cardio, and you want to fire off your shots when you're training, but you're just dead.
yeah.
But at the same time, man, thinking about now that you're in Denver, right, and you're training at that level, that probably gives you such a huge advantage when it comes to competing with other people.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you experienced that?
If you're in shape here, that you're in shape like really good at sea level for sure.
Yeah. So you must be excited for that match now. You're coming down here for main character on June
Yeah,
7th.
I'm very excited for sure. I feel like it's probably the biggest opportunity I've had so far. Maybe like the most eyeballs watching me.
I think it's especially down here in Miami where the scene's pretty big. I think
Yeah.
it's and you're going up against Adolfo Suarez, right? I think
Yes,
that's going
sir.
to be a good match. It's going to be a good match. I'm excited to see that match between you two guys. He's a good competitor as well. I've never
Yeah.
met him, but I've seen some of his stuff, so I'm really excited for your guys' match. So how have you been kind of prepping yourself for this? Have you been like dialed in 100% on it? Or what's it look like?
Oh yeah. I do own my own company and I work. I
Right.
like washing windows and gutters. So, I try to lift or do some strength and conditioning before I start work. And then I go to work. I take care of that. I go train in the evening, uh, like I said, at Logos. And definitely the amount of talent in that room on any given night, it's pretty insane.
That's a
We got
crazy day that you have, dude.
from Liera being with all his accomplishments on his resume,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it just I, he had the number one blue belt in the world, and now he's a purple belt. But like, I mean, there's all the belt, all the colors, man. They're all killers in there.
Yeah, man. That's how you know you're in a good room when the blue belts are killers.
I was in there rolling with a white belt the other day, like
Yeah.
a week or two ago, and I was like, bro, this white belt is like a purple belt when I started. Like I don't know, it's just getting better all the time.
Dude, that's such a good point that you just said. Like the level has changed, and when it comes to grappling, like the belt levels. I know I did like it.
Yeah,
Obviously, we're talking about competitors, right? So
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
competitor belt level has gotten exponentially better. That you're seeing, there's some white belts that come out that are just killers, dude, and then you have some blue belts that are just murderers. And then if you got a good room like the one that you have, it doesn't matter who you go with. Yeah, of course, you have more experience. You're gonna be able to take out this white belt, right? But you know what I mean?
yeah,
They know what they're doing now. It's not
for
like
sure.
from
Yeah,
scratch. It's so cool to see this level go up. So
yeah.
you were talking about your day. So your day starts. You wake up early. So that's like what, like a five, six, seven,
Usually wake up around like 6.
six. So you wake up at 6. You train.
Depending what day. There's one day in specific, Wednesday mornings at like 6:15. We start competition rounds at Logos
Oh,
every Wednesday morning, so I'll get up a little bit earlier. But yeah, I wake up. I try to hit a quick strength and conditioning, about an hour or so of that. Uh, Try to read every morning a little bit, and then go to work. Take care of that. Go train in the evenings.
so that's a full day, man. It's like 14 hours that
Yep, yep.
you really don't have time to do anything else.
Yeah, yeah. I bet, I love it. My wife supports me. Like,
That's the most
you know,
important thing.
we're we're doing it, man. We're living, getting by.
And is jujitsu? Because I know you also do MMA. You're also an MMA fighter, right? So are
I
you are
mean, like with MMA, I have fought quite, kind of a bunch. Man, it was a dream for a long time. I just don't know how many more times I really will, to be honest. Like, I'm not at all where I want to be, like with MMA, and I'm just like not going to be anytime soon. I
yeah.
would have to go win like 13 fights or something to like start to have my life being changed from MMA, and I'm just like, I don't really have that time or
Right.
to
No, you
do
have to
that
pick
now.
one.
Like, life is carrying on, and I'm getting older, and the bills are still coming, and I'm like, man, I feel like I kind of missed my time with MMA. I probably will fight again. I just don't know when. Like
But the
when
good thing is
I
you
think
went in.
about not fighting, I think about how much I love it, and I'm just like, man, like I've always fought. I've always been like, I got a fight coming up, and it's just like I I love it, man. The rush of winning a fight is insane. You're up all night, like your adrenaline on high. You're just like, I can't believe I just did that. That was so awesome. You're like, can't wait to do that again. And it's like the best feeling in the world.
Dude, I
There's
think it's got to be a crazy feeling because it's got to be one of the most in order to accomplish a win in MMA, going in to fight somebody else that's trained that that's trained, right? It's got to
yeah,
be
yeah,
such a
yeah,
nerve-wracking feeling. And then you
yeah,
come up with the win off that. That's got to
yeah,
be there's no way there's nothing in sports, right? That's going
yeah,
to make you feel that way.
yeah. It's an experience, that's for sure.
But I mean, I guess so. You're switching over to focusing on. I mean, you're going to take fights, but from what I'm understanding, right? I could be wrong here. Is that you're focusing? You're going to start focusing more on the jiu-jitsu competition side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I always have
Oh, okay.
competed quite a bit in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
always been like a jiu-jitsu guy that liked to
right.
fight. not so much a fighter that did jiu-jitsu on the side, you know.
Kind of like a Damian Maia.
Yeah, I've always been a jiu-jitsu guy since day one. I've always trained in the gi and loved it, and like just I could realistically I could go the rest of my life with never doing kickboxing or Muay Thai and not really care too much. But like, there's no way I'd go the rest of my life without doing jiu-jitsu. It's, you
And
know,
why do you think that is? Why do you think that you have that preference for jiu-jitsu?
just it just translates with me. It speaks to me more. Uh, yeah, it's a little bit more instinctual coming up
Mm,
with the wrestling.
mm-hmm.
You
That
know,
makes sense. Yeah, it's
you
true.
know. I mean, there's some people that have the passion for Muay Thai that like I have for Jiu-Jitsu, and that's
Yeah,
great. It's good for them, But like, just Jiu-Jitsu, dude, bro, like, speaks to my soul, man. There's nothing. You could be having the worst day ever. Go get a good training session, and nothing else matters. You're like, ah,
yeah,
good
yeah.
reset.
That's crazy how that works too. Like you go in to train and you just feel a lot better afterwards. It's crazy how that feels, man. That that ability to do something and be able to relieve your stress at the point that jiu-jitsu does. At least in my opinion, and the way that I
Yeah,
that I feel about jiu-jitsu.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I think
yeah,
that's 100% how it is. And I think that there's, like you said, there's people that have the Muay Thai aspect of it that are just passionate about Muay Thai and over jiu-jitsu and stuff, and they just have the same feeling, but it goes for Muay Thai, right?
yeah,
Or
sure,
MMA. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's good. All right. So walk me through. You left Indiana, right? When you left Indiana, you were what, a blue, purple? Did you already get your
I
black?
was a
How did
purple
that look?
belt. Purple belt for I had my purple belt for like 6 years. Like, had it for a minute.
That's a long time. Why
Yeah,
do you have it for
so
so long?
just bro, I was young and moving around, moving from Indiana to Colorado. Meeting my professor who gave me my brown and my black, and just yeah, had a wild life back in Indiana. Not the very best of household growing up.
Okay.
So it's just like, there was always complications with that and
Right.
things going on. And yeah, so James, he gave me my purple. I
So
think it
you,
was like,
so you made the smart decision of leaving kind of I want to say it, an unproductive environment. You've decided
yeah,
to make that change,
100%. That's
which is
what
a
I did. Yeah,
hard choice to make,
yeah,
man, because you have to leave people
yeah, for
behind. You have to
sure.
leave.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
tough. That's a tough
Yeah,
decision.
exactly.
That just talks to the type of personality or character that you are, that you know that you have to make the decision when you need to make the decision. Do
Right.
something tough like that. A lot of people won't do it, man. They'll stay in their environment.
Yeah. But speaking about like competing and stuff, so when I was a blue belt, training at James Gym, I met some other guys that were all around my age, and we were all blue belts at the same time, and we like to compete. So we would go to tournaments together on the weekends.
Yeah.
Go to Gracie Regionals in Chicago, like 2015,
Yeah.
and it was hosted by Rose Gracie and
I remember
Javier
that.
Showtime. So it's like the sub only tournament. So we go there and we like do
I
really
remember
well.
that. I remember those tournaments that were
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Gracie
good
ones. Yeah,
times.
dude.
Yep. Yeah, sub only. So we
Right, right.
go
Those were
there.
one of the first ones that were like
Yeah,
sub
yeah,
only.
yep, yep. It was good times.
So you competed in that a couple times?
Yeah, a few times. Yep.
How'd it go?
So we uh, we went to Chicago. We all did really well, and Rose and Javi invited us out to do the Gracie Worlds.
Oh, nice.
And they're like, "Yeah, you can stay at our place. We don't care." So we're like, "Ah!" Small town boys in Indiana. We're like, "We're going to
Yeah, dude.
California."
How old were
Yeah.
you?
How old? I
Like
don't know,
a,
19, 20, something like that. Yeah, yeah, 21 maybe. Um, so anyway, I met Rose Gracie from doing her tournaments.
yeah.
Through her, I end up meeting who is now my wife. She's a friend of Rose, and we talked on Instagram for a really long time. I went down to Brazil. I met her. We took a whole bunch of pictures and had proof of our relationship. Got her the K1 visa.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, dude. I live, man, that's everywhere here.
And yeah. And now she's got citizenship here. So, you know, Rose introduced me to my wife. But by going down to Brazil twice in 2019, I met who promoted me to brown and black belt.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah,
you met the person that promoted you to brown and black in Brazil. Was he living in Brazil?
at Damian Maia's gym, bro, in Brazil.
Really?
Yeah, so where she lived was like a couple blocks away from Damian's gym in Brazil. So
Really?
when I would visit her, I would train at Damian's gym, and everyone took a liking to me because I was gringo, probably, you know. And I met George Bezerra. He's a black belt under Leo Vieira. Now he teaches at the headquarters,
Right.
Checkmat. Uh, so yeah, he gave me my brown and my black belt, and proud to rep his name.
Dude, that's some good training you probably got in Brazil, huh?
Oh, it was great, man. It was good times for sure.
Do you see a difference between what you get over here in the United States from over there?
Dude, there's a different, it's like kind of approach to the training. I think it's here. It's kind of a little bit more competitive in the room. And I
Hmm.
think in the room in Brazil, at least from my experience, wasn't quite as competitive. The guys were still rolling like really hard and giving me a lot of good work, but
Yeah.
they just weren't gonna like break their back trying to get a submission.
Yeah.
I just felt like they were a lot more friendly to transition, and the style was definitely a little bit different for sure.
Yeah, your experience was that it wasn't as competitive as the rooms weren't as competitive as it here
I
in the
don't know if
US.
that's the right way to actually say it, but it's just a difference in the way that they approach the rolling for sure. Like here, some people will, I'm getting this arm no matter what.
Right.
And I felt like it wasn't quite so much like that. Like they knew when to just let go and transition to other things.
Oh, okay. I
You
see
know
what
what
you're
I
saying.
mean?
It's not sense competitive, but I guess they're more compassionate or they're more understanding of when they got something and they don't need to prove
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
they'll allow it to roll. So competitive is not the word. It's more
I
like,
mean, bro, in Damien's gym in Brazil, I had no idea he was the legend that he. I knew who he was, and I knew he was a legend, but I didn't know he's the legend that he is. He's got like 30 black belts under him. You know,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
trained
bro,
with one of his black belts.
that
Daniel
dude is.
Perez.
He's like seeing him in person. It's like all these black belts. They got stripes. They're underneath you. Like, damn, that's wild. You know?
Yeah, there's such a big difference when you see a room of black belts. Okay, so let's say this professor has a black belt, right? They have black belts, cool. But when you see a couple with a couple stripes on them, and it's a room full of them, you know that
Yeah,
you're in a sweet spot.
yeah.
You know
Yeah,
you're in a
when
sweet
you
spot.
striped up black belts, you know.
And there's a
You know,
difference.
these dudes, they're different.
Yeah, that's so you went
Yeah,
over
have you
there.
ever heard of from from Damien's gym, the Domingos brothers, Leo and Rafael? Rafa's in Vegas now.
Oh man, they do
They're
sound
both really good
familiar.
competitors.
The Dominguez Press sounds
Obviously, my
familiar.
professor George, Damien.
So what happened with them, with the Dominguez brothers?
They're just a bunch of beasts,
Yeah.
and they're just training with them there. Claudio Godoy, bro, if you don't know who he is, that fool is insane with it. Like, it, every now and then you just come across these people, you're like, I don't think I could ever get that good no matter what I do. You know? It's just
Yeah,
like,
dude, I know. Yeah.
that fool was crazy, bro. He grabbed my lapel in my sleeve and he judo through me and he ripped my gi open. Like he ripped the stitching. Yeah. I
That's
realized
wild.
like he asked me if I wanted to roll and we were like in a hard training session and I'm thinking like, sure. Like this dude's like gigantic compared to me. Like maybe he's kind of looking for a rest round, and I realized almost immediately, like, no, he ain't playing. Like he's coming to get it. You know, I was like, oh crap, this dude's like twice my size. And he's like pure muscle, and he's athletic and huge. And he's like four stripe black belt or whatever he is,
Yeah,
five
dude.
stripes. You know, that dude's a monster. And dude, he grabbed my gi and he just launched me. I was like, oh, he ripped my gi, throws me down. I'm like, no.
So what happened when your gi broke? What did you say? Did you say anything to him? You're like, hey man, did it
Yeah,
stop or do you guys keep rolling?
no habla inglés. I don't remember. I just remember him beating my ass. I was like, oh, yeah, this was a good one.
Yeah, those are the type of ones that you when you go and you like let's say you've been training for a while, you're consistent, you're disciplined, you're getting better, you're starting to take on names that or people that were giving you issues before, you're doing better with them now, and then you get one of those roles and you drive home
Yeah.
slow. You drive home slow, music off, thinking to your thoughts.
Yeah. And like I just heard stories about him in training room beating up serious names. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, I don't know how I would do if I was 225 and jacked too, but you know, that's the world that we lived in.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
225, bro, and a black belt with what 4 stripes? I don't three.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
guy,
The
that's a
four.
different monster.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean? When you're rolling with those big dudes that know what they're doing, how they're moving, it's a different
Exactly.
type of
Yeah.
manipulation of your body. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
really don't, especially if you're a lighter weight. You're like what? You're 180.
I'll be walking around at like 170.
You're 170, 165. So you compete like 160, right?
Anywhere between 62 no gi for IBJJF and middleweight is
Yeah.
181 in the gi.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
you know, anywhere in that gap.
Dude, so you're 170. You're going against this 225 beast, right? It's a different type of.
Yeah.
It's hopeless. It's a hopeless
Yeah.
role, dude.
It's like a lion and he's like chasing down like a little gazelle or hyena or something. I'm just like,
Yeah,
ah.
but you learn a lot in those tough roles, though, man.
Yeah.
They're a really good experience to go through those tough roles. You kind of see what the standard is, man. When you see
Yeah.
these guys and how they move, it's just it doesn't even seem possible when you see
For
these guys
sure.
roles that are competitors like that.
Yeah.
So we're going back. You were in Brazil, right? You were training with at the Damian Maia gym, right? Am I getting this right? Okay. And you were there for how long?
Just both times that I
Yeah,
went for like 2.5 weeks. Like
that's a good amount of time.
so, I trained down there a good amount of times and made friends with all of them.
That's
Wish
dope.
them all the best and hope they're all doing well.
Are you
But
going? Are you so?
here-
Then you went back to Denver from there?
I've only been twice. I haven't been back since, but
I'm sorry. Like you
I'm
went
ready.
back when you went back to Denver to train after you went from Brazil the second time and the first time. You came back to Denver, right?
Yep, yep.
Oh, nice, nice,
So now
nice.
I've been in Denver for 6 years. 2019, yeah, 2019, 6 years, and yeah, I trained at a few different gyms out here, but I felt like training at Logos was the direction
It's definitely
that
the move,
I
dude.
needed to go. Respect Liera very, very much. That dude is without a doubt like the man who's amazing friend and coach, and he's a super good teacher.
Yeah,
And feel like I'm really getting a lot from training under him.
that's good, man. What do those practices look like?
He shows technique for around 45 minutes, and then we roll for about 45 minutes or an hour. And just depending on the day, sometimes he says longer rounds, sometimes he says really short, like sprint type rounds. Like,
Mm,
you know, today, for example, this morning, he went over like 3 or 4 variations of technique. And then we rolled, uh, man,
rough
10,
rolls.
10 3-minute rounds with like 30 seconds of rest. And then we took a 2-minute break and did it again. You know? And it was like just a whole bunch of short, hard rounds, back to back to back to back to back to back. But we have a lot of competitors there. For example, we just had the Denver Open, and pretty much the whole
Yeah,
gym competed. And
you competed in the Denver Open.
just I lost my match that I had just on
Oh, okay, okay.
the dude
Yeah,
was.
the entry. But when did you get your black belt? You got it
Got
recently.
my black belt two years ago.
Okay, so you're
So
coming up on that first stripe.
almost, yeah. Yep.
That's good,
But
man.
yeah, it's cool, but I don't know.
So what's the culture like over there in Denver when it comes to the jiu-jitsu scene? Is it
I think as far as if you want to train in the gi logos, there might be one or two others. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody.
right?
Yeah, I don't want nobody to hear this and get mad or nothing, but Logos is the best gi spot without a doubt. Uh,
I would say so.
I think
Yeah.
that I think everybody probably knows that. They just don't want to say it. But I'm
I
just
mean, you're
saying,
repping your team, dude. I don't think
yeah,
anybody's
it's
gonna be
just
upset if you
total.
say that.
Yeah, it's like, man, just the like I said, we got killers at every belt. Mikey is an absolute killer, gi and no gi.
Yeah.
But I just really, me personally, I came up in the gi and always put was in the gi until I got my purple belt. Then I started just training tons of no gi,
Mm.
do MMA all the time.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, you started doing the no gi in purple because you were gonna start fighting MMA.
Yeah, so around then I started taking the MMA more serious and was only training in the gi maybe once a week and doing just tons more no gi and wrestling and boxing and all that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, just trying to do that a lot more. But I've always, even during that time, like put tons of energy and effort into jujitsu, even if it was no gi.
Yeah.
I've always like still been a jujitsu guy. Every fight I've had, I think I won with a submission. Like all my wins, it's just always been my my thing.
Yeah, you go for the submission. You're not like a point fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
even yeah, exactly in jiu-jitsu tournaments too. I think throughout all of my belt colors, legit maybe have exaggerating. I feel like maybe 10-point wins throughout like
Really?
all my belt colors. Yeah, I've always just been chasing the sub no matter what. And it's now I see there's a lot of times I lost matches that I definitely, could have or should have won, trying to do that style. And it's like, was it worth it? I mean, I learned my lesson,
Dude,
now.
but you know what? I think, dude, man, I don't know, dude. I think that the going for the submission is the way to go, bro. Like, if you lose on
Yeah.
points, like, okay, it sucks. It's a loss. Obviously, it sucks. But why did you start jiu-jitsu? You didn't start
You-
to be a point
Yeah,
fighter.
exactly. But you remember that stuff. Like I can remember like being a white belt in this like tournament and like beating this purple belt like really good on points. And then I was just like still going after it so much he triangled me with like 10 seconds left or something. And
Oh
I was
man,
like,
that would have been a
like
crazy
I
win.
would have won on points, but I was just like going after it and I was like, I'm gonna do something, you
Shit,
know.
now you just made me look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
I'm
can't
here.
believe it. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Uh,
either way, man, you were a white belt going against a purple belt. And he had these submission last 10. Were you just were you like just out wrestling him?
yeah, I can't remember specifically the match, but I just
Good
do
point.
remember that I was like up on points. I think I passed or, you know,
Yeah,
s-
yeah, yeah.
probably cradled him and passed that way or something.
Dude, that's gotta be wild. Like, not to disrespect anybody, but like, you get cradled by a white belt. Like, let's say he didn't know that you have a wrestling background, and you're
Yeah.
going against this white belt. You're a purple belt, right? You're going up against this
Mhm.
white belt. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna, do my game, get a quick submission or whatever, and then you end up getting cradled.
Yeah. But I will say, like, with all due respect,
Yeah,
wrestling and
respectfully.
jiu-jitsu are two completely different animals.
Yeah.
You
Why do you see it like? Of
They,
course they are, but I want to know your opinion on why you
they,
see it that way.
even high level competitive jiu-jitsu, like, it's not as competitive as a wrestling.
Mm,
Like, bro,
yeah.
wrestling is just tough as it gets. To be molded by wrestling, to wrestle from the time you're a little kid all the way through college, it's not something that I did. But them dudes are just animals.
Yeah, dude.
They just, their mentality and their spirit and their grit, they are just willing to go through hell and come back to win at any cost. And they're the style of wrestling, there are a lot of things that jiu-jitsu can capitalize on, but I'm just
Mm,
like, talking about their energy
grittiness.
towards competition.
Yeah.
They are just pure animals from coast to coast, Russia, here, everywhere, bro. The wrestlers are just tough as shit. And then even if I could tap the dude out, like he's probably tougher than me, you know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but man, it has a lot to do with the way that each sport. I think, right? My opinion.
Yeah.
I could be full of shit, right? But my opinion is that like it's the way that these wrestlers train
Yeah.
develops that mentality. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
especially when, or at least in the American, in Russia too, but like you were saying, these kids come up and they start wrestling, and if you're doing that since you're very young,
Yeah.
right? You're, and the reality is, at least in the United States, right? Like wrestling is a competitive sport. You're not going to do it as a
Yeah.
hobby. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? You're
Yeah.
not. It's not a hobby that you do. You're there to compete. And when you go to jiu-jitsu, you have hobbyists and you have people that go, when they can. And I think
Yeah.
that you can't have that competitive environment that they have in wrestling in a jiu-jitsu room
Exactly. Yeah.
unless you're like what, like a new wave that's only for competitors. I mean, that would be the only
Yeah.
way to have that type of environment. But to your point, like I agree with you 100% that wrestling is a different
Yeah.
animal and it creates a different breed of athlete
Yeah.
than a jiu-jitsu person. You'll find some
And just like
tough jiu-jitsu
just
people.
a bro, just a wrestling practice in general, without even going live, you will, without a doubt, be covered in sweat.
Hmm.
You'll have worked a good heart rate and held it there for a while, and you will have drilled whatever that technique that they were covering 100 times,
Hmm.
back and forth and just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it's jiu-jitsu, there's just a lot of people who just want to, chit chat and do a couple reps and just kind of wait for the next technique. And, I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
no, there ain't one technique that I'm a master of. I want to drill this shit 100 times because I'm paying for my membership here. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I want to win my next match. You know,
Yeah.
like, but that's a lot more the culture because in jiu-jitsu or in wrestling, you're surrounded by roughly all your age. You compete against your size.
Yeah, man.
It's your peers that are surrounding you. And jiu-jitsu, I don't know. There's just a wide variety of people that come to a jiu-jitsu class or open mat, from older to younger to bigger to smaller
Hmm.
and it's just a different intensity. And
Yeah, and it's like what you're saying, and I think that in my opinion, I think your mentality when it comes to training is probably due to the wrestling that you did.
yeah,
You know what I mean? The way that you
yeah,
go
for
I'm
sure.
going to drill this 100 times and until I get it right, and even then you probably won't feel satisfied. You keep drilling. You like that mentality
Yeah,
definitely comes from wrestling because in jiu-jitsu you have people that will show up and they'll do the class and then they'll leave and that they have jobs or whatever, and that mentality that you have
yeah,
right now that you brought into jiu-jitsu is I wonder if it's probably like the best base for grappling. Now, this is just me spitballing right now, but like the best base for grappling as a whole is probably wrestling because I think it will give you, if you want to compete, right? I
yeah,
think it would probably give you the mentality that you want.
yeah, for
Because
sure.
when you wrestle here in the United, at least in the United States, when you wrestle here in the United States, you go to public school, you're not really paying to do that. So the coaches are there to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're there
yeah,
to create a team. So they're gonna either you're gonna be on the team and you're gonna compete for your spot, or you're not gonna wrestle.
yeah,
And that's a huge
and
change. That's a big
yeah,
difference, man. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, good old. I don't know too much
Especially
about.
where you started wrestling too, man. Like you started
Yeah,
wrestling in Indiana.
that's what I'm saying is I don't know too much about the Colorado wrestling scene and like which schools are good, or
Hmm.
I haven't really followed out here very much. Um, and but in Indiana coming up, I mean, wrestling was pretty much the only thing I
That and
enjoyed.
basketball, right?
No, wasn't a basketball player.
I
No.
mean, like the state. The state is like the sport is like
Oh,
basketball
yep, yep,
and
yep,
wreshling,
yep. Oh
to my
yeah,
understanding. Basketball's like a
Hoosiers,
huge sport.
baby. All I know is the Hoosiers. They don't like Purdue, and Purdue don't like them Hoosiers. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, dude. I knew that they were big on those two sports because that's kind of the area where wrestling is there, and you go to Iowa and the Idaho
Oh
states,
yeah,
and that area
yeah. I
is
mean, Ohio, Michigan.
right.
Yeah,
It's so crazy because like well, I mean, the bet is. I mean, maybe you can correct me on this one. The best state in wrestling is it New Jersey
it's all it's New
for like high school?
Jersey. New Jersey. I think I'm pretty sure.
It's
Yeah,
like that, but it's all these northern states that are really good. Maybe you got California is probably pretty good
yeah.
too, but these northern states
Because
is
it's
just a
like,
different breed of people.
there's something to it as well. These, this territory, the Midwest, all the way up through the coast, is cold as F in the winter. If you haven't experienced it, you don't know.
I
But
haven't, but I imagine.
I mean, it's so cold that it'll wake up the dead. It's cold. They'll wake up and turn the heat on. They'll be like, "This sucks." You know, it's horrible. So it's the only way to you either do basketball and wrestling are both winter sports. They happen during the winter time.
That's right.
So that's the only way you're gonna see your friends after school, maybe. You
Dude,
know.
but and also living up in that environment that you're explaining, that cold environment creates a different breed of human. You know what I
Ah,
mean?
yeah.
I completely like if you grew up there, you're just tough. You're just a tough
Oh,
human being.
yeah. And
It
then
requires it.
the summers are like miserable too. They're
Does it get
like,
super hot?
yeah, really humid, super hot, and it's just there's a lot of days that can be not too enjoyable. Tons of mosquitoes, just there's a lot of days that can be, but it's like crazy. You could go through all four seasons in one day. The weather could be changing, boom, and it's just like, what is going on out here?
So you guys don't have it easy any fucking day of,
No, I
of any
mean, you
season.
got on like overalls with a tuxedo and you got like a snow cap. Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, man. So that definitely brings and that I've everybody's pretty much said that when you come out of that area, it just to live there requires a certain amount of grit, man. Like it's just
Yeah. And
and
bro, I'm in Indiana. There's still like a lot more north than that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But that
You can
area
see
is
like the
rough.
videos or the pictures of like the Buffalo Bills stadium, just snow like this deep. Just yeah, it snows a lot, gets really cold. I like the winter here in Colorado much, much more. Even if it snows a lot, and it'll
Yeah,
snow quite a bit, but in
yeah. I
like
was about to say,
in a couple days it'll be like melted away. It doesn't really stick around that long.
it's
Whereas
wild that for me the winter in Denver is intense. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And you're like, it's all right. Like, it's more
yeah,
comfortable than it is in Indiana.
it is like it does get cold and it does snow a lot, but being right next to the mountains, it just kind of like only lasts for a couple days and then just goes. Whereas in Indiana, it'll just be like miserable for a couple weeks straight, and it's just like, man, this sucks. So
And then you have to go to practice with that. Like
yeah,
it's and getting out all
but it
sweaty out of
makes
a
for a
out of
lot of
a.
good stories.
It does. You got
Yeah,
any you want
for
to
sure.
share?
No, just running around after school with friends and
Yeah,
snow waist high and
dude.
being kids doing whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I get you. I get you. I get what you're saying. Yeah, man. That's waist high snow sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it was good times though, for sure.
So you're ramping up for this main character jiu-jitsu. It's gonna be on Flow. It's gonna be some good eyes on it. I'm gonna be there. I have my wife's competing, so I'm gonna be there. So I'll probably get to see you there. But it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a really good. And the person that you're going up against, have you seen any of his videos? Do you watch any of his tape? Like, or are you just that type
Yeah,
of person that doesn't give a fuck?
I've familiarized myself a little bit and see that he's a pretty intense competitor and he
Yeah,
carries a strong pressure and a high pace and
yeah. But so do you, right?
yeah, exactly. Similar, I see similarities and I see contrasts. So,
Hmm.
you know, all respect to him and his team,
Yeah.
and I hope that we put on the match of the night, and
I'm sure that match is gonna be.
I hope that it's a banger
I think
and
it's gonna be, dude.
show up
Like just
A1.
watching you guys kind of
Yeah,
the tape of both of you guys watching that I kind of I see it's going to be like a really intense match and I'm excited to watch it, man.
for sure. Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of it for sure, and
So
happy
did
to
you did you did
the
you
match.
did they give you the call to come over, main character?
Yeah, I think they messaged me on Instagram.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna fly into Miami, what,
Yep,
like a couple
yep.
days before?
Actually, a friend of mine from the gym is competing as well,
Okay.
Celine Haga. Can't remember the name of her opponent, but we
It's
both
not
are
my wife, we're good. It's not my
uh,
wife.
we both pulling up, repping Denver logos, and Celine's a beast too. She's had like 30 or 40 or something MMA fights,
Whoa.
and she's a brown belt now, and starting to just put all her focus on jiu-jitsu and just training day and night, and I'm really excited to see her progression as well.
That's gonna be good, man. You're coming in with somebody, so that's great. Are
Yeah.
you gonna come for a couple days and train out here too?
Um, right now I'm pretty much just coming in like for the event. I'm just like coming in Friday and leaving Sunday night.
Oh, you're coming in to compete and leave.
Pretty much, yeah. But
That
we'll
makes
see.
sense.
Who knows?
That makes sense.
Things
Whenever you get a chance, you should probably, if you ever get a chance to come to Miami to visit or
yeah.
whatever, you got to come
I
and see
had
jiu-jitsu.
a high school sweetheart that she moved down to Fort Lauderdale to Hollywood, and I went down and visited a few times. And yeah, Florida, bro, it's awesome. I got nothing, especially South Florida.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
different
nice.
world. It's a different world. It's
It's like
beautiful
the
weather all the time. It's a great place.
South Florida is like North South America. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
everybody
it
there
is.
is from a different South
Yeah,
American country. But I love it. I
good
like Miami down
people,
here.
good food, good times. Yeah, South
You gotta be
Florida.
careful though down here, dude.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you don't want to get in
For
trouble over
sure.
here. So I'm
But
excited, man. I'm excited for your match for
it's a
real. Like
very
I think it's
beautiful
gonna be
place.
a really good match.
Yeah, so you know, that's
Do you think you're gonna have like do you have anything lined up after main character?
well, I know for sure I'm gonna do the Gi Master Worlds.
Right, that's
Um,
on the
that's
20.
August,
Yeah,
so
right.
that's there's a little bit of time before that, but before that, I'm not sure. Like I said, I run my business, and it's pretty much the busy season right now, so
Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah,
it's
because we're getting
it's,
summer, right?
yeah, exactly. It's time to make money as well. I'll still train pretty much every single day, but it's
How you balancing that, like the work and jujitsu stuff? Like, is it just
well,
like you have a schedule and you run it?
so. Right now, I'm really not like too big at all, so it's not a crazy beast to maintain. But my goal is to scale it to where I have a
Right.
few employees and change what my role is. Because right now I do everything
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
from beginning to end, everything.
yeah.
So yeah, I do want to grow it to be bigger to where I could pay a couple, hopefully, homies from the gym and have a good group of guys I know that are capable and, in good shape, ready to work hard, be at training that night. So it's what a friend of mine from Indiana did actually. He
Oh yeah.
he started a business like 10 years ago, 2015. Let me give him a quick shout out real quick
Sure,
because
go ahead.
he's a huge part of my life right now. So he started a business 2015. His name's Chris Heffernan, and I did like one of his first jobs with him. This fool rolled up to like do a gutter and window job, and he was like in like a '03 like Chevy Cavalier, like a fold up ladder and like a bucket, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
as basic as startup as it could be.
Those are the
And
best though.
now 10 years later, I mean, he's just killing the game. He's got like 10 trucks out on the road or like 8 trucks or something. And I mean, he's absolutely killing it. And
That's great.
I met him through jiu-jitsu as well. So,
That's crazy, man. That you're meeting all these people through
yeah,
jujitsu.
now we talk pretty regularly, and he's helped me, start my business and gave me good advice the whole time. And, blessed to be surrounded by good people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, from what you said, you met your wife through jujitsu. You
Yeah.
know, you have a bunch of boys at the gym, and then you have kind of like, I don't want to say mentor, but the person that is kind of aligning you in this path, professional path to
Yeah,
grow your
yeah,
business.
exactly. Yeah.
Which, if you scale, he can probably give you the blueprint for scaling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's great, dude.
Yeah, so shout out everybody from the NAP, from the 317, you know what I mean? Still love y'all back home. From IBG to Stockman's Gym, James Klingerman, you know, if you want to learn jiu-jitsu and you're in Indiana, around Indianapolis, go see James Klingerman. That dude is like the best teacher, the best dude, you know.
Yeah.
He, he's the real deal. That dude is
Do you
awesome.
ever go back over there to train?
I have visited. I need to visit more often, but I have. Yeah, I've visited a couple times.
And how do you feel about
Actually, only once. I've only visited one time.
in the
Took my
six
wife
years?
out there to go see. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
So we went last year for the 4th of July.
Oh, nice.
You
Yeah,
know,
like, literally last
I need
year.
to visit more often for sure. So it was a good time though. catch
So
up.
what are your when it comes to jiu-jitsu, what is your like idea of the future for yourself? Like, what do you see jiu-jitsu
I
being for
mean,
you?
like, I think that my love for competition will probably never go away. So I'll probably compete for as long as I really can.
Right. What you can do in jiu-jitsu.
Because I think that competition for me isn't really so much about going out there and beating some other person. It's really
Mm.
about beating myself. I feel like, as long as I show up and I'm ready and mentally there and everything, I think that, I can compete with the very best that are in my division on
Right.
any given day. But your mind, the man in the mirror, that's the worst enemy for me. Sometimes I just be and don't show up, and some other times I'm show up and I look great, and I've just been competing all my life, and now I think I show up a lot more often than not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that just competing is always a mental communication with yourself,
That's a good
and
point,
you
man.
just,
Because a
you
lot of
just, you
people
just
say
like,
that
you know,
they fail to mention that fact of the mental aspect of competing. It
yeah,
is you against yourself. It's who you're like. How do you control
yeah,
those thoughts
yeah,
and nerves? Do you have a process that you use in order to
exactly.
control those processes?
There's so many things that are good about it, and everyone should experience. You should experience the nerves. I've had teammates after a match, they're just like, oh, like I can't believe it. They never competed in anything like that before, and it's like if you haven't had that experience, it's very foreign if you've never
Yeah,
like actually got down with somebody and been physical and tried to get it out and get them with whatever. It's like it's just if you've never like experienced that, it's your whole
it's a
body
different
doesn't
feeling.
know what to process. It's just like information overload, and you just see the huge adrenaline rush after, and they're up against the wall throwing up, or
Yeah.
legs on the wall, and it's just yeah, it's something everyone should experience once
I
for
agree,
sure.
man. I think that it's that what you're saying, that experience of stepping on, like when you compete for the first time. I remember when I competed for the first time, right? I remember just the mat feeling. I don't know if this makes sense, but the mat felt heavy. You know what I mean? Like the
Oh,
mat
sure.
felt like quicksand, kind of. It felt like
Yeah, you're like,
quicksand, and
what? Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it was the first time I
Yeah,
competed. I was young, but I think that everybody experiences that type of, or you feel your body feels tingly, and or some sort of
yeah,
manifestation of those nerves are just so
yeah,
foreign, like you said,
yeah,
that everybody's got to feel it at least once,
yeah,
just to feel it.
exactly. Yeah, because like in team sports, it can. I'm not gonna. I don't really have very much experience at all with team sports, so I'm not gonna say like it's easy to avoid.
No, but
But
it is. It
I
is.
think
I
I think
mean,
you could probably like sit back more and kind of give more responsibility to the other guys if
yeah,
you're
dude,
not
it's
really there
different.
so much that day.
It's
Pick
different.
up
Like if you
some
lose
slack,
a soccer game, bro, you lose a soccer game. Like it's
Exactly.
like, well, we didn't pass or we didn't
Yeah, it's
shoot, like
like
we didn't shoot more or whatever. But if you lose a
yeah,
jiu-jitsu match, it's kind of on you. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. And if you go out there and just get smashed, you're like it's embarrassing, and you don't want that to happen. And there's a lot of reasons. It can make or break for sure, but for me, it's just a lot of reasons to motivate me to learn more and get better and train,
Yeah, but that
train harder
mentality
and
that you have
smarter.
right there, that you're talking about, like I want to get better and I train. That in my opinion, there's like after that first taste of combat sport competition, like it fractures into two places. Like either nobody wants to experience that again, that feeling, or they're like, oh man, like this is addictive. I want to get better. I want to improve. And I think it fractures into those two lanes. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
And then the ones that stick with it, usually the ones that's even, let's say you like, I think Garotera, you know who Garotera is?
Of course.
Sorry, man,
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Garotera, like he lost his first couple matches a lot. Like he lost a lot of matches in the beginning of his career, and then he started to win
He's like 10-time world champ or something now.
at his weight, dude. His
Beast.
like that guy
Yeah.
was like he's like what 130,
Yeah.
and he was winning absolutes. So that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Absolute adults.
Yeah. Yeah. That full of beast for sure.
That dude's wild, man. So we have 5 minutes left. Is there anything that you want to cover that we didn't talk about? Anything you want to promote? Anything? This is your 5 minutes. Let's talk about what you want to talk about.
Next 5 minutes. Nah, not really too much. Like I said, shout out to everybody back home. You know, back home where I'm from, that's what, you know, built me into who I am
Yeah,
through all the good and the bad. And I hope that everybody that I love and care about and that I'm thinking about right now can hear me say right now that I love y'all guys, and I wouldn't be out here like living my best life so far, if you guys didn't help me out in all the ways that you did for as long as you did. So just much love and respect to, everybody back home. Still still think about you guys all the time. It's just like back home, there's like a high crime rate, and there's just a lot of
dude, I get it.
chaos and craziness that goes on all the time. You know what I
Dude, I
mean?
get it. I get that
Meeting, meeting,
100%.
meeting James and all these jujitsu people, man, they helped me out so much. Like, who knows where my life would have been if I didn't meet these people. I got a baby brother, you know, overdosed already.
I'm sorry to hear that,
And
man. I apologize to
it's
hear
just
that.
like drugs is just everywhere out there, and it's like if you don't know how to get out, it seems like it, you know,
Kind of like you're trapped there. I get that,
drugs
dude.
get a hold of everybody, bro. It's wild to see.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said, I came up out there in Indiana, and that's where I'm from, and that's where I'm built. But like out here in Colorado, I feel like you know, uh, understanding that just you're never a perfect person, and you got to work on yourself for as long as you live.
Yeah, man.
You ain't never gonna always be right about nothing. It don't matter how much you know about it. It's
Yeah.
just we can all learn from each other, and we all in this together. And that's really the message I want to send out to everybody. It's
That's
just that,
actually
like,
beautiful, dude. That was a great
any
message.
any any wrong I've ever done to anybody, I hope you guys got double, triple the right for it. Like I don't want beef with nobody. I want everybody to get along. I want everyone's life to be smooth sailing, and as long as you ain't hurting nobody, you know, do whatever you need to do to be happy, be healthy,
Yeah.
take care of yourself, take care of each other. That's, pretty much what I'm on. There's just
That's
mind my
great,
own
dude.
business, make my money, do my thing, and trying to buy a house out here and just be on that grown up stuff. You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to do now is go to
Dude,
bed
it's
on time and get good sleep and
that grown up
not get
shit
hurt.
snicked up on me quick, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's real.
It is,
When
man.
I was young, I could run through a freaking wall, bro, and nothing would stop me. You couldn't tell me nothing, and I'm just like, man, like other than just it takes a whole lot longer to recover. Getting
Yeah.
older is pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I ain't got nothing against it. It's like you just understand things differently. You have a different perspective on life.
Yeah, if you're doing it right, like if you're growing as a
Just,
person
you know,
correctly, then that's
yeah,
such a good way
for
to
sure.
do it. So why don't you like give your Instagram, where people can find you, so we can go
Yep.
ahead and send this off.
So you can find me on Instagram at Mr. Killatine
That's a
M.
great name, by the way. A great
Yeah, yeah,
handle.
yeah. Yep. MRKILLATINE, Mr. Killatine. And if you're listening to this in Denver, hit me up. Let me wash your windows, clean your gutters, hang up
What's
some
the name
Christmas
of your
lights.
business so they can find you?
Black Belt Home Services.
That's a great name
Yep,
too.
yep. So I'm working for myself now, and I'm very excited about this chapter in my life and to see what can happen from it. And I have all the same motivation with business as I do like the gym. It's something I never really thought about too much before, and now that I'm doing it, it's insane how much it's really taken a part of me, and I enjoy it, all the ups and downs that come with it.
That's great, man. Well, I hope to see you at my. I'm gonna, like I said, I'll be at main character. Hopefully, I get to see you in person and get to meet you in person. That would be awesome. But other than that, man, thank you for being on. It was a great conversation. Anything you need from our end, you just let us know, okay?
For sure. Thank
All right,
you.
my
I'll see
brother.
you there 2 weeks.
2 weeks, man. 2 weeks. I'll
Yes,
see you
sir.
there.
2 weeks. See
All
you.
right, brother. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.